Today we're covering a serious situation unfolding right now in Central Europe. Countries like Poland, Austria, the Czech Republic, Romania, and Slovakia are facing extreme weather that's causing deadly floods, mass evacuations, and chaos on a massive scale. Streets are flooded, homes are underwater, and emergency services are struggling to keep up. This isn't just another storm. This is a crisis that's impacting millions of lives. Let's dive into what's happening in Central Europe. Austria is hard hit, especially in Lower Austria, where torrential rains have transformed streams into foaming rivers and roaring torrents. Thousands of overnight emergency interventions are being made throughout the entire disaster state. Since the wet earth can't hold, the chance of a landslide in a certain place is high. Governor Johanna Mikl-Leitner announced that a firefighter has died after rescue operations. Governor Johanna Mikl-Leitner stressed the gravity of the situation and said these are the most trying hours for many locals. It is predicted that the Danube River, which flows across the heart of Austria, will overflow. This is an event which only occurs once in every 30 years. The government has shifted at least a couple of towns, and the armed forces have been deployed to augment the activities of the processes of sandbagging and evacuation of people. While the officials were preparing their contingencies for potential flooding, some of the metro lines in Vienna are already shut, and some equipment critically damaged. The Ottenstein am Kamp reservoir, located north of Austria, is at full capacity, raising apprehensions that it will burst and subject the region to further flooding. Chancellor Karl Nehammer has warned that the situation is becoming worse as he deploys army personnel to strengthen flood defenses and assist in evacuations. The military is also using boats to save people cut off by the advancing water amidst that gravity that is unfolding. There has been heavy flooding in the border country of the Czech Republic, across the border from Poland. 4 people are missing in the Jeseník district. 3 missing persons are feared drowned, while 1 missing person went missing when he was endeavoring to clear debris from his house when a river swept away their car. As incessant rains continue to overwhelm flood barriers in towns and villages, local emergency services are struggling to respond. According to the Jeseník mayor, the situation becomes a total chaos, with people becoming inaccessible to emergency crews due to blocked roads and hazardous conditions. The extreme weather has even grounded the helicopters that usually act as a savior in such a scenario, leaving the inhabitants of certain regions to their fate with the waters rising. The situation in Poland is also deteriorating, and its southwest region at the Czech border is among the most affected, as more than 1,600 people have had to be evacuated due to a dam breach, with at least 1 death confirmed. In many cases, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk called on residents in the affected districts immediately to evacuate, as more evacuations are likely to increase with the rise of floodwaters. With military assistance, emergency agencies are putting in endless efforts to safeguard crucial infrastructure and evacuate the people. A lot of areas remain shut because roads are covered and many bridges are closed. Authorities have shut several highways and stretches of train tracks, and other important transport routes, including the Golkovice border crossing into the Czech Republic, because of the power of the floods. Similar levels of extreme flooding are crippling the Czech Republic. 1 dam in the south of the country was opened, and it then inundated a succession of cities and towns further downstream. In response, locals are building quick sandbag barriers to protect their houses from further damage. The residents of Velká Hostis made a 500-meter wall of sandbags to protect the settlement against the overflowing Opava River. Water still keeps rising, however, and the pressure on the barricades hurriedly put in place is increasing despite this. While emergency workers are fighting to save them, the situation is still dangerous due to the rising waters. Parts of Romania were hit with the worst floods seen in years. 6 people have died so far in the country. 2 more bodies were found yesterday after 2 more people were killed in the Galati region Saturday. In a bid to forestall further damage, rescue teams have been working day and night to rescue people. A big chunk of territory lies on the banks of the Danube River course, which has overflowed into its banks, but also flooded farms and settlements. Residents from the village of Pečija, Galicia, describe scenes of devastation, totally bare houses and belongings taken away by the river. 60-year-old Sofia Basalik affirmed that the flood took everything she owned, from a home appliance up to her cattle. Nothing was left to give her any possession whatsoever. Over 6,000 houses and 15,000 people were affected by the floods in Romania. The rescuers have rescued thousands of people through boat rescue and supplied different materials in the flooded areas for people cut off by rising tides. Romania's Interior Ministry sent more personnel to the most affected districts, but their reaction has proven to be quite difficult because of the sheer volume of the floods. Damage will only worsen because the additional rain is predicted during the next few days, officials said. A state of emergency has also been declared in Slovakia, where the capital city, Bratislava, has been the worst hit by the torrential rains that have ravaged the infrastructure. Public transportation has been badly interrupted, and streets and communities have been swamped. As more flooding is predicted, more people are advised to stay indoors, and emergency services now have a maximum alert. River levels are rising rapidly in Hungary, and officials are paying close attention to the situation, ready to act rapidly if things deteriorate further. Radical weather has turned Central Europe into a humanitarian catastrophe. Floodwaters have accelerated the pace, leaving thousands of people already evacuated, but thousands are still in danger. The rescuers are taking the evicted person to the emergency shelters erected in converted schools and community centers, since efforts to get people to safety are proving a tough job, considering public transportation has undergone worse effects. While all 5 lines of the metro were locked down in Vienna, other metropolitan cities within the region experienced the same case. As much as shock and awe go, this wreaking havoc the weather has brought upon the globe is blamed on climatologists for their surprisingly warm Mediterranean seawaters, which fed the intense rains all over Central Europe. Low-pressure mechanism responsible for the heavy downpours does not appear to have any let-up in this scenario, as it is caught between 2 high-pressure zones. Flash floods were caused by a perfect storm, worsened by the steep topography that directed rainwater into low-lying areas and narrow valleys. This perfect storm also finds a definition of epic proportions in the words of the President of Romania, Klaus Iohannis, who described the floods. The relentless weather has proved just how urgently stronger disaster response systems and better flood barriers are needed. Emergency personnel in the area are working tirelessly to rescue people and save property as the rains continue. The chief of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, stated that the European Union was totally in complete solidarity with all those victims of such terrible floods, and the EU stated it was ready to make whatever is possible in terms of assistance. While it struggles with its own crisis, Ukraine proposed the offer to provide 100 specially trained men for rescue operations with Poland in their flood response operations. It was this hour of chaos that Prime Minister Tusk described the offer as an honest gesture of solidarity. However, the near future is not very bright at all since incessant rains are yet to subside. Reservoirs throughout the region from Central Europe to bursting are facing the chances of breaching and drowning more lands into oblivion, and rivers like Danube were steeply rising to dangerous levels. The rescue operations remain the most important as rain is going to lash Central Europe. The emergency personnel work day and night with armed forces, boats, and helicopters for rescuing and providing life-supporting provisions to the stranded people. Recovery is going to take a long time as much of the region remains underwater and infrastructure is damaged. It is being implored to be on watch for, comply with evacuation orders, and prepare for possibly worse weather to come in the coming days. Severe weather crisis in Central Europe is a stern reminder to be aware of unpredictable nature and take heed of the call for collective action to build up resilience against such disastrous events. This is a developing story, and our hearts go out to everyone affected by these devastating floods. With more rain on the way and water still rising, the challenges are far from over. We'll be keeping a close watch as these communities fight to recover and rebuild. If you found this update helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on critical events happening around the globe. Stay connected, and we'll see you in the next one.